is the Chicago Bears making yet another move? Last week we saw them trade. They trade Robert Quinn to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now they have made the move to send Roquan Smith, star linebacker, leads the NFL in tackles, stud from Georgia, Aaron.
UGA, baby.
They trade him to the Baltimore Ravens in exchange for a second-round pick, a fifth-round pick, and A.J. Klein. And to throw in a little note here on this, Baltimore also takes all of Roquan Smith's salary. He's got 1 year left on his, or this is his final year. It's not a whole lot of salary that's going over, but they do take that as well. Aaron, when this move came by, what was your instant reaction to see Roquan Smith joining the Baltimore Ravens?
I think I put it in the chat. I just said, wow, this is huge, right? Like, I don't think people realize how big this is. Like, Roquan Smith is an elite level linebacker in the NFL. And now you're putting him next to a Patrick Queen in a secondary that has not only Marcus Williams, but also Marcus Peters, and also Marlon Humphrey, and also Kyle Hamilton. Like, what Baltimore just did was solidify their defense. And I know there was been some struggles early in the season with their defense, but you are getting an absolute dog in the middle of that defense. And this was a win-win for Baltimore, because if you look at it, the way it's set up, they give a 2, a 5, and an A.J. Klein. But if Roquan, it's like a rental, but you have a chance to pay him if you want to. But if you do let him walk, they receive a third-round compensatory pick for him. So in reality, they're just moving that second to a third, and they're trading a fifth and A.J. Klein for Roquan Smith and the chance at a Super Bowl run. So I think this was an absolute home run by the Baltimore Ravens. And once again, we're starting to see teams that are getting ready to load up. I think tomorrow's going to be a real active day. I think some teams are going to go after receivers, but what Baltimore did today was hit a home run. They might not be done. Maybe they go get another receiver. Who knows? But I thought this was a big time move by the Ravens front office.
Yeah. I mean, this is I see a lot of people talking about it from the Ravens side. I mean, you add Roquan Smith to an already talented defense. You're now going to line him up alongside Patrick Queen. We talk about that defensive line being young and bright in David Ojabo, Odafe Oweh. You throw in the veteran of Calais Campbell. I mean, that front seven is good. Great in Baltimore with a lot of potential, and a defense that at the start of the season we were questioning, but they had a very difficult schedule and have played a lot of very good offenses, and now they're really starting to show up and show out, and that could spell some really bad things for the rest of the NFL for Baltimore coming in, and I mean, you talk about it with the rest of the AFC outlook of the great teams in the AFC. It's all offenses. And I talked about it at the beginning of the season. It's going to come down to which defense could make that one play, which defense can step up and make that one stop that you need against the Chiefs, against the Bills, against one of those types of teams. Baltimore just added a big time piece in a player that is going to help you make that one stop against a Mahomes or against an Allen. On the Bears side of things, though, kind of had to do this, right? They had no choice. And I think Baltimore took advantage of a team that had no choice of doing this.
I don't think so. And it's crazy because they're in full rebuild mode, but Roquan Smith wanted to be a Chicago Bear. Like, I don't think people realize how much he liked Chicago and how much he wanted to be a Chicago Bear. Now the Bears have $100 million in cap space. Why didn't they just pay him? Why not pay the guy that's your best defensive player? Pay your middle linebacker. Go out and get some help on the offensive side of the football. We've seen their defense. And yes, I know they got exposed a little bit this week against Dallas, but that Dallas, that's a machine right now. Like, they're playing really well. But you draft Jaquan Brisker. Kyler Gordon's out there. They both looked really, really good. Why not keep Roquan Smith, build the offensive line, go get Justin Fields some weapons, and have a good foundation as you continue to grow? I don't know that this was necessary. I think this was an unnecessary move because the Bears didn't want to spend the capital. And now, in turn, you're going to go out and you're going to look for defensive players that you're going to have to spend money on. Sure, you got great draft capital. That's great. But you still got to hit on those draft picks. Maybe they believe in their front office and their regime based on what they did this year in the draft, and they drafted some great players, all but Velus Jones Jr. But I just think that they could have just kept Roquan, paid him, and had more foundational pieces on that defensive side of the football with a defensive-minded head coach, and then go out in the draft and free agency and address your offensive line and some weapons for Justin Fields. When teams sell off players, it's like I said with Denver. When you sell off players, you should be in full rebuild mode. And you should be selling off players that are not foundational type pieces, veterans that need to go to a team that to help, going to put them over the top and help them win. I didn't think this was one of those moves. I thought this was the Bears saying, you know what, we're going to continue to clean house, and this might be the final piece. Robert Quinn's gone. Like Robert Quinn, I actually understood that move. Okay, defensive line, he's older. He's not going to be part of our future. Let's get rid of him. Roquan Smith could have been part of their future. Like, he's young. So I didn't get that part of it. But I guess if you want to ask, did they get compensated appropriately? I think getting a second-round pick for a guy that you may not have been signing anyways. I guess they were saying they weren't going to sign him. I think a second-round pick is worth it, even though it's going to be a late second-round pick.
Yeah, that's where that it'll be a late second-round pick, and I mean, everyone's probably wanting a first-round pick for a talent of Roquan Smith's level, but
not in the NFL.
That's what I was going to say. First-round picks are very hard to come by, and they're like gold, and you have to be look, Christian McCaffrey is one of the best running backs in the NFL, and he didn't even get a first-round pick back for them. So that's that.